Anime is absolutely fucking overrated. And here's why. What's up, guys? I'm DK Wrestler, and today's video we're gonna play a little game of overrated or underrated. I put up some polls on Instagram and the YouTube community tab on 15 different topics relating to the world of Funko, and after I look at the results of what you guys voted for as overrated or underrated, I'm also going to state my opinion of whether I think they are underrated or overrated. So let's get right to it. The first topic is Bitty Pops. 33.5% of you guys voted underrated, while 66.5% of you guys voted overrated. And honestly, I do have to agree with this because already I just don't like the concept of Bitty Pops, where of course you get the 3 mini pops and then there's also a mystery one. But I also think the price point is a little off because usually here in Canada they're $20 a piece, so that averages out to $5 per mini Funko Pop. I get it, they save a lot of shelf space, but I would rather just get a normal size Funko Pop where you can actually see quite a bit of detail than just these tiny little pops. The pop lineup for Funko's new video game, Funko Fusion. 29% of you guys voted underrated, while 71% of you guys voted overrated. And I could see where it's a little bit overrated, but I do think that this is actually underrated. I feel that the detail of these pops are some of the best that we've seen in quite a while, especially when it comes down to if you're an inbox collector and how amazing the detail is with the black and purple box. And not only that, we do have some cool versions of characters from already existing licensors, but there were licensors that were never previously made that were a part of the set, such as The Thing. The Ad Icons lineup, 80.5% for underrated, while 19.5% of you guys voted overrated. And I actually have to agree, especially because I feel it's a lineup that doesn't necessarily force you to have to collect every single pop, because the world of ad icons is so big with different mascots for places that you might not need every single one in the set unless you are my co-host MD Shady. Funko Pop covers. Now this could have been any of the covers, whether it's the comic covers, the game covers, even the albums. I would consider 44.5% of you guys voted underrated and 55.5% voted overrated. And honestly, I could make an argument for either or, because sometimes I do fall in that like fine line. I think it's overrated because it takes a lot of space. It's unnecessary box space when it's just a normal 4-inch pop and then you gotta show off the comic cover. But I could say that it's underrated because of the fact of the way that you can display it. You don't have to display it with all of the 4-inch pops. There's actually the mechanism where you can take the box off and actually hang it on your wall to display it like that, as if you were to display an actual comic book if it was like graded. So I think based off the facts of the ways that you can display it is why I'm actually going to say underrated for this case. The Funko Mystery Minis. 68.5% of you guys voted underrated, while 31.5% of you guys voted overrated. And I honestly have to agree. I always enjoyed mystery minis. If you guys have been watching this channel since the very beginning, we used to do a lot of mystery mini videos, and I love the thrill of it, where if you open up an entire box of mystery minis, you don't know what you're gonna get besides maybe the obvious 1 in 6 and 1 in 12s, because if you've opened up a full case, you know that because there are 12 minis in a full case, that a 1 in 12 means you're guaranteed to be getting 1, and a 1 in 6 means that you're guaranteed to be getting 2. But also with those rare ones like a 1 in 24, a 1 in 36, and especially a 1 in 72 in those cases, where sometimes if you're able to pull a 1 in 72, it's just super exciting. Plus, I think if, let's say, you and a friend are buying a case and you have to decide who's getting what out of it, at least with the 1 in 6s, you're guaranteed for each of you to get one of that certain character. One of Funko's newest products being Blockbuster Rewind. 91% of you guys voted overrated, while 9% of you guys voted underrated. And crazy enough, a huge hot take, I actually agree with the 9% of people that think that it's underrated. I think the biggest reason that people hate Blockbuster Rewind is that they think it's kind of a carbon copy of the Funko soda figure, because it's that same concept where it's a certain kind of case, you open it up, you see if you get a 1 in 6 chase or not, and then you get some sort of card or pog. But here's a question that I'm gonna ask you guys. Let's say the year was 2020 when Funko Funko Sodas were made. And instead of Funko Sodas, it was actually the Blockbuster Rewinds that got released, and you've seen that concept for the first time with these specific figures. And then fast forward to 2023, 2024, the Funko Sodas then released. I feel like it would be the same exact thing where you would say that Funko Sodas are super overrated because they would be copying the Blockbuster Rewinds. And I find with the Blockbuster Rewind, I have noticed that I find a lot of the chases are actually better than the Funko Sodas. The Harry Potter lineup of Funko Pops, 28% for underrated and 72% for overrated. Now, honestly, I kind of agree with this one only because of the fact that there is so many of Harry Potter himself and Ron Weasley and Hermione Granger, yet that happens with a lot of different sets also. So I'm only by a little bit going to say overrated. Now we're talking about the Funko Soda figures, 73% being underrated and 27% being overrated. Which I'm not going to lie, I actually, just like how I mentioned of a hot take about the Blockbuster Rewind, I'm going to say that Funko Soda figures are overrated. The price point of Funko Sodas throughout its entirety, not just of the recent price point, has just been ridiculous. It's always been more expensive than a Funko Pop itself, and that's mainly because of the fact that it comes in an aluminum can. Next up is prototypes. So 54% of you guys voted underrated and 46% of you guys voted overrated. And honestly, I can actually agree with this, even though there are people out there that say it's overrated because it's kind of just like a do-it-yourself pop. It's a one-colored pop and mostly white. However, not all of the prototypes, especially given out to people at, let's say, Fun Days or the recent Funko Hollywood event, are the white colors. Sometimes you can get them in different colors also, so that's always a joy to see, and that it's not always going to be that color. Plus, I think it would actually be cool to, let's say, if you had the actual Funko Pop of that prototype, to just kind of look at it and be like, this is what the finished product is, and this is how it kind of started. Funko's main mascot, Freddy Funko. 29.5% of you guys said underrated, and 70.5% of you guys said overrated. And not gonna lie, I am so fucking happy that overrated was the better result, because I have always said on this channel that Freddy Funko is absolutely overrated. I never understood the appeal of people getting so excited about Freddy Funko as this, Freddy Funko as that, while the majority of them are just taking a regular Freddy Funko head and using the body of an already existing Funko Pop and just mashing it together, and somehow people are willing to pay more than the regular price for a Funko Pop to actually buy this Freddy Funko. The specification that is blacklight, 31.5% of you guys voted underrated and 68.5% of you guys voted overrated, which only by a slight margin, I am actually going to say that I think it's a little underrated. I know that they've done a lot of blacklight pops, and it's at the point now to where I do feel that either they need to stop doing blacklight pops or just at least slow down on it a bit and only do the ones that would make sense to be blacklight pops. But I do see the aspect of how the pop looks, and especially overall if you're an inbox collector, because the blacklight boxes do look amazing, and I've seen many videos and photos of how people would set up their blacklight pops, and some of them are actually cool. Holiday themed pops. So when I put up this post, I also wanted to mention that it's not just Christmas, it could be Halloween, it could be Easter, Valentine's Day. 48% of you guys voted underrated and 52% of you guys voted overrated. And I do kind of agree in a way that some of these holiday pops are a bit overrated. Star Wars, that is the next category. 31.5% of you guys voted underrated, 68.5% of you guys voted overrated. And I actually do have to agree. I think Star Wars was kind of like the first licensor that like defines overrated as terms to Funko Pops, because of course that first couple of waves were absolutely awesome, but then when it comes to just reproducing the same mold, especially that period of time when they were doing the multicolored chrome pops, and then now taking those molds and then adding a metallic specification or adding a glow-in-the-dark specification. One of Funko's other mascots being Proto the dog. 74.5% of you guys voted underrated, while 25.5% 85% of you guys voted overrated. And I'm honestly so happy about this because I've always mentioned that Proto the dog is such an underrated mascot. I find that with basically all of the Proto the dog pops, they are significantly different from each other, while like I mentioned with Freddy Funko, all they mostly ever do with him is just slap his head on another existing body and call it Freddy Funko as X character. And the last topic, the one that started off this video technically, is anime pops. 28.5% of you guys voted underrated, while 71.5% of you guys voted overrated. Now, once again, there can be an argument made for either or. Very underrated because of the amount of detail that are put into a lot of these pops. But you could say overrated because they are pouring the gasoline and basically making a bunch of different pops for different animes, whether it's My Hero Academia, One Piece is a mega huge example, Dragon Ball Z. If we were talking specific anime lineups, I would give a huge argument about how Yu-Gi-Oh! Is super underrated, but I think overall as a lineup, just on anime, I do agree that it is a bit overrated because they've even made animes with pops that have a bunch of them in the lineup and they don't really sell well. Even though Funko has mentioned in the past year that anime is the #1 selling Funko Pops that they have at the moment, there's still a lot of anime pops that are on the shelf, so not all of them are being sold, and that's likely because they are pouring the gasoline over that fire that is anime, thinking that everyone is going to buy an anime pop. Anyways, guys, that is going to be the end of today's video. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know down below on what you think is overrated and underrated, and I hope to see you guys on another video here on the channel. 1, 2, 3, I'm out of here.